Welcome to the AdHero Podcast, right here on AdSemble.com. My name is Gio Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Olivieri.
And we are your personal ad heroes, broadcasting every Friday.
There's a little delay there in that sound effect. My bad. We'll get on that.
That's right. This week's guest, we have Tim Rowe, host of the OOH Insider in New York City. Give a hello from NYC.
What's happening, fellas?
Yeah, good to have Tim on the show, man. This is going to be a great episode. This episode is going to be all about how and why you should launch your very first podcast.
That's
so
right.
we got a resident expert here. Tim's been killing it on his brand new podcast. It's just going bonkers. I've seen the stats. I've actually had the honor of being a guest on the show. So this is a little, what are we calling this? A little crossover mix right here?
We are calling this a crossover.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the OOH Insider meets the AdHero Podcast.
There you go. Kind of like the DC universe meeting the MCU.
That's pretty relevant.
Okay. Or maybe that little bit lesser known movie that some of you might have seen out there when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually took on Batman.
Oh yeah, there was. And you know what? When the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were on the Power Rangers.
Oh, that one I missed.
I missed that one. I got a 7-year-old son inside who loves the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, you gotta see
go
that
find
one.
that.
Power Rangers in space.
Real quick thing, you know what I love about the Ninja Turtles are kind of timeless. I mean,
and they're coming back. There's a reboot.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I just gotta say, when I was a kid, my dad literally pulled me out of school because I was so excited about that movie. He let me have a ditch day to take me to go see the first live action movie, the original one.
Ninja Turtles '89?
Yes. He took me to the theaters. We went and saw that. And then afterwards he was kind of like, that was a pretty dark movie for a kid's movie.
Yeah.
I was just like, yeah, it was. But all these years later, it's like a cult classic now, man. I love it.
One of my favorite lines. Oh, fellow checker, eh?
Right. It's pretty awesome, man. Pretty awesome.
By the way, before we go any further,
okay, let's do it.
So this weekend, because we're pre-recording, is 4th of July weekend, and I just wanted, or I think we should both say a big happy birthday to the United States of America.
Happy birthday, America! God bless America. Tim is served in the Marine Corps, so thank you, Tim, for your service.
Thank you for your service.
And absolutely, man, we gotta. Hey, what a great opportunity to get the country going back in the right direction, right? We were doing really good. The economy was booming. Things were humming along. And then, boom, COVID-19. Now, unfortunately, tragic death of George Floyd. I mean, just so many things, boom, one after another. But, hey, 4th of July weekend, why not? A perfect time. Let's get things going back.
Definitely.
The trajectory.
Definitely. Keep going up. Making America great again.
What do we got in the block banter section, my friend?
So we have some stuff that we always pick and choose what we want to talk about, but it's relevant to the show. So what we got going on is the first thing is Walmart. Walmart is going to be bringing back the drive-ins. Actually, the drive-ins aren't gone. Just a little pretext here. Because of the COVID-19, there are concerns that a lot of movie theaters just won't open up. And so that means that a lot of these big movies like Black Widow and whatever else is planning on coming out this year won't be shown in the movie theaters. So what's going on here, and this is courtesy of Fox Business, Walmart is hosting a 3-month-long drive-in in their 160 locations nationwide with a partnership with Tribeca Enterprises, which is the retail giant, announced in a press release.
So what does this mean for people? They can literally just drive their car up to a Walmart parking lot and they're going to put a giant screen up in the parking lot?
Absolutely. And it's going to be having 320 film showings until October. This is going to start in August.
So, okay, so Walmart is my new drive-in.
Yeah.
Destination.
If you're not,
awesome.
If you're in the Bay Area and you're not by the drive-ins that you have here, then yeah, absolutely.
Tim, what's your thoughts on that? You interested in taking your son to a Walmart to drive in to watch a movie out there? It's kind of interesting.
For sure. There's a couple out here, but they're an hour plus away. So if I could just throw them in the truck and go to Walmart and pull up and watch a movie, I'm in.
And apparently you're going to be able to buy concessions and things like that.
Absolutely.
And they like from an app, and they just deliver it from the Walmart to your car.
Yeah,
door.
from the Walmart app, and they'll be having curbside pickup before the movie starts.
So talk about crossovers. What a fascinating crossover, right?
It
It's
is.
kind of like, hey, we already got. I'm just curious what AMC and Regal think of this.
Well, that's a really good question, because I mean, Regal for a business does really well, and AMC was doing fantastic until COVID. But you know what though, this kind of goes back to earlier episodes about having a business and reinventing during tough times. So I think Walmart is doing the right thing, and eventually, like if let's just say the indoor theaters aren't going to happen this year, then that just helps out these movies that need to come out, because obviously they're going to want the revenue. If they just throw them online, we know based on, they've already did that with the movie Trolls, and I think a few other movies when COVID happened, that they just put them online. They didn't get the big return that they really wanted.
Sure.
So if they do it this way, at least some money can come in, and, heck, probably a lot.
And in the background of all of this, somewhere Jeff Bezos is scratching his beard, thinking to himself, Amazon needs to be doing this.
Yeah.
We like to poke fun at Jeff Bezos. You might have heard that, Tim, on some other episodes. We're just counting down the days until Jeff Bezos owns every single thing in the world, including
everything.
Okay. I got some other news here that you dug up for us, Gino. Something going on with a Deadpool kills Fox Marvel Universe movie. Is this like a parody film? Is this like a real thing? Was this like a what do you call that? Like a rumor? What is this? What's going on here?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Matthew. So the backstory is Ryan Reynolds, who's been pushing Deadpool for years and basically getting what he wants for this movie. And he has now thought of an idea of taking the adaptation of the comic book of when Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, and this time making it where let's do a crossover with Fox and the MCU, and let's have Deadpool basically kill everybody. And it's a parody. It would be a parody. And I'm not sure exactly what actors are on board, but I do know that some of the actors who left, like Chris Evans, for example, apparently misses the MCU. But I do know that, and this is kind of like an unfortunate one, and I think Michael Bay was actually rumored to be attached to this film for directing.
Oh God!
And a lot of people really aren't.
God, not Michael Bay.
Yeah, if you're familiar with the Transformers franchise, you're really not that big of a fan of it.
I did like Transformers 1.
I like Transformers 1 and 3.
1 and 3 only?
Yeah.
Okay, there's like 8 films now.
Yeah, there is.
The Bumblebee movie?
I heard good things about it, but
it's good. It's a little weird though.
But he didn't direct that one.
Falls in love with him.
Oh, is that right?
It's weird.
Spoiler alert.
I saved everybody 2 hours.
But I will give him credit for Pain and Gain. Did you see that?
What is it?
Pain and Gain.
Is that the Mark Wahlberg film with Dwayne
with The Rock.
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, The Rock. Mm-hmm.
Did you see that one, Tim?
I think so.
Okay.
Great. Anthony
Wahlberg's
Mackie's
all
in
jacked up. Marky Mark's bigger than ever, right?
Yeah.
They're selling steroids or something?
Roided out, probably.
Yeah, roided out. Cocaine use. It's crazy.
And that's a Michael Bay film?
Michael Bay film.
Okay, so Tim, let me just ask you this quick question here. What do you suppose it is where a director can seemingly knock it out of the park on one film and then just completely bomb on another? What's your just gut take on that?
I think it ties back into it's Walmart turning into a drive-in movie theater.
Okay.
So
getting away from something that works. Getting away from something that works.
Right. Yeah. Either you stick to your core competency, do the thing that you're great at, or if you're good at a lot of things, then you're able to adapt and pivot. But it's that old Gary Vee, punt your weaknesses. Maybe stick to the genre that you're good at.
There you go. Okay, so there's some sound advice, Michael Bay. If you ever listen to this episode.
You need to get Ryan Reynolds on the show. Doesn't he have like an ad agent? He's like big into
He is.
No, dude, that's his shtick, man. He's so on point with it. He can just totally do the whole like sarcasm thing to a T.
He
just
does.
knocks it out of the park. He's awesome. Well, okay, so that will be interesting to see if that happens, if that actually comes to light. But that's just a rumor right now, right? In summary, okay.
Yeah, and apparently a lot of fans are mad.
Why would they be mad at another Deadpool movie?
Yeah, I know it's another Deadpool movie, and you have an adaptation of a comic book that was actually really popular, and it'd be different. It'd be totally different, and it would probably be R-rated.
Okay, so. the only way I will watch it is if Hugh Jackman steps into that movie. And they that's what everyone wants to see.
Make sure to visit change.org and sign the petition.
That's the heavyweight fight movie that we all want to see is Wolverine versus Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds versus Hugh Jackman. It'll probably never happen because Hugh Jackman's already officially hung up the claws, but one can always dream.
I do think that he would come back for Ryan Reynolds though, because the two of them joke around so much,
maybe
it's gotta be.
Maybe. Okay. Last thing really quickly here before we get into the meat and potatoes of the interview here. Some switching it up a little bit. There's a kind of a, this is a small business podcast, right? So we're always focused ultimately on helping small businesses and bringing small tips and tricks to your small business to help you grow. Well, in the world of jobs, there was an interesting, kind of maybe even a little bit of a shocking result that came out. Gino, what did you dig up here from ABC News?
Well, it turns out that 4.8 million jobs were added last month, according to the June report, walloping expectations. And the unemployment rate sank from 13.3% all the way to 11.1%.
Which is still high, but it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's 2 months worth of growth.
Well, there you go. Good. Let's keep it going, man. Let's keep putting people back to work. Small businesses, if you're listening, you guys are in control to do that by listening to podcasts like this, checking out Tim's podcast, getting up on billboards, getting up on all things marketing, advertising, letting people know of the products and services you have to sell. And let's get the economy moving again.
Exactly. Because, for the last 3 or 4 months, I know I personally, and I think you actually as a company we've really been championing small business and even medium-sized business to help America get back on track. And I just want to congratulate all you small businesses and medium-sized, heck, even the large businesses for going out and sticking to what works or reinventing yourself and helping America stay on track, because we were on a great pace months before, and then the virus hit, and now I think we're on a trajectory of going upwards once again.
Let's now switch gears to our guest. Mr. Tim Rowe is an awesome advocate for the out-of-home industry. He's super popular on Twitter. I'm his #1 fanboy.
We all need a #1 fan.
The guy is just like bringing it every single day in the social sphere, and also on his brand new pod, the OOH Insider. You can find it easily on YouTube, on Twitter. It's all over the place. Obviously on Spotify and iTunes and all those places where you can listen to podcasts, but you can also watch the video version of it on YouTube. But without further ado, let's introduce Tim and just have him kind of give us and the listeners a little background about who he is. Tim, welcome again, my friend.
Gentlemen, thanks for having me, man. It's exciting to be on someone else's podcast for a change.
So, yeah, man, background, who you are, where you're from, how you got started in some things.
Yeah, so I think like most, at least that end up in the out-of-home industry, the path was certainly not linear. It wasn't straight by any means. Grew up in the car business, the retail automotive car business, sold cars, worked in the service department, drove the parts truck, did all that stuff. And eventually I got to a point in my life, I said, I don't want to do this forever. So I joined the Marine Corps, and I served in the Marine Corps from 2008 to 2012. But then I hit a crossroads. I came out, I'm 26. I'm like, well, now what do I got to do? Now I have to grow up and figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. So I went back to school and got a degree in finance because that seemed practical. And I spent about 3 months of my life using that and hated it. And then found my way back to advertising and marketing. Knew that I wanted to do something creative, and linked up with an ad agency, and that sort of was the catalyst for the Out-of-Home Insider Show.
Okay, that's awesome, man. So so tell our listeners a little bit about the OOH Insider Show. You know, who should be engaged with your content, Why should they take note of it? I mean, I personally know from listening to it, but let's hear straight from the horse's mouth. What's your unique spin that you put on the show and your interview process, and how you make it interesting for people to check it out?
So really anyone that has a vested interest in the success of growing their business should tune in, because for me, it's important to know the people that you're doing business with that are executing on the things that you're entrusting your advertising dollars to.
Mm.
So the guests on the show are exactly those people. They're the people that make the out-of-home advertising industry go round. We're starting to branch out, starting to bring on brands as well. So for those small business owners, for the enterprise brands, they can tune in and hear from someone else, hear from an established brand or a cause that's actively using out-of-home advertising and how they're seeing results for it. So everyone from someone getting out started doing billboards, if they want to learn who the people are, the pieces and the players behind it, or if you're looking to hear from brands that also use it, it could be a great place for that too.
Awesome.
Tell us, why did you start a podcast?
So I started the podcast because I was seeking information, right? I was in the out-of-home advertising space and I wanted more information. I started seeing really great success cases inside of Google Analytics. I could see out-of-home working inside of small businesses' own data. And as soon as I saw that, it set the hook for me. I thought, okay, now I can see that this stuff works. It's quantifiable. I can see this nonprofit has 39% more donations. I can see that this orthodontist is getting 30 to 40% more people to their website, and that means more patients and more business. Where can I find more information on this? And I started looking around and I just didn't find it. I went to the industry trade journals, but the stories weren't quantifiable. It wasn't, hey, business A put in $5,000 and made 10 back. It was, we put up some billboards and everybody liked it and the creative looked cool. So that lack of there being information in the way that I wanted to understand it, right? The quantifiable return on ad spend, there just wasn't any. So I said, you know what, I'm going to start a podcast and start getting really smart people on so that I can learn about it. So it started out as a learning exercise.
Fascinating. And I think I just want to throw in there too, for anyone who has not yet subscribed or heard it just quite yet, the OH Insider Show. It's a show around the out-of-home advertising industry, which our parent company that is financially supports the AdHero Podcast, AdSemble, is all about. We're also in that space. And the thing I want to kick into the conversation here is Tim just makes the content fun and engaging. He's just super cool. He's a super cool guy. And the way he discerns the information and breaks it down for you, the average person who might not know anything about the out-of-home industry yet, he makes it digestible for that type of individual. So if you're listening to this and you're like kicking the idea around of maybe doing an out-of-home advertising campaign or a billboard campaign, Tim's show is a perfect, I don't know, is it safe to say like Gerber food for
It totally is.
For someone like that?
I'm the out-of-home outsider, right? I've spent I'm brand new to
We're going to quote that.
Yeah, please do, right? Because here's the tagline is that the outsider is the new insider.
Right.
And I believe that that's the power of podcasts, which we could certainly talk about, but the content is exactly that. The entire purpose of the show is to elevate out of home beyond just this little vacuum, right? The echo chamber that can sometimes be your industry. The podcast is designed to engage folks outside of the industry, to make it really simple and easy to understand. And again, I really only spent like 3 months selling billboards, and I've been doing the podcast for about 10 months.
Wow.
So my experience within out of home actually selling billboards is limited. So the content is really designed and digestible, designed to be digestible. Right?
Yeah, and there's nothing else out there like it. You're not in competition with like 25 other podcasts, YouTube channels that are about this industry space. So you really, not only did you find an interesting niche that you can just kind of come in and own and just rise to the top really quick, but the way you do the show, I've watched almost every single episode now, I think. And it's just, they're engaging. You just kind of start watching it, and before you know it, 30 minutes has gone by and you're like, oh shit, just tuned into a 30-minute episode. Right? It just flows. You know, you got a great cadence and demeanor in the way you ask the question. So let me, Gino, do you want to go ahead and dive into that next question?
Yeah. So in the realm of small business here, how can small businesses leverage creating a podcast to grow their business? You kind of answered that, but maybe give like a little bit more examples.
No, it's a great question. I think it's something that every business can and should be doing. So the reason I started At Home Insider was to learn, right? As that has evolved, I really refined who is my audience. My audience are marketing decision makers at brands. My audience are sellers and business development folks inside the out-of-home space. It's executives and founders of both sides of the equation, right? Media companies and also brands. So kind of serving many masters, how can I roll that up? So I think the first step is really approaching it with who is your ideal customer? In this case, my ideal customer are exactly those people. It's the business development types. It's the media executives. It's the small businesses. It's the enterprise brands. Those are my customers. So starting a podcast is just that simple. Who are my customers and who could I talk to that my customers would be interested in hearing from?
And that's a really fascinating take, because I'm sure somebody out there listening right now, maybe they work in a really unique, obscure industry. You know, here in Silicon Valley, we have a lot of companies that work in cloud computing and servers and building wafers at the Intel, complex and everything else. And they're probably listening and going, well, all this time, I didn't think that there'd be any relevance to me making a podcast about cloud servers or something like that, something around that. But according to what Tim just shared, that's completely false. You should absolutely go for that, because you could develop a lot of interesting dialogue and conversations with like-minded people in the cloud server space. And then before you know it, some of those conversations can ultimately open doors to sales and other business development opportunities. Would you agree with that, Tim?
Absolutely, right? We hear it all the time. The riches are in the niches. And if you can find that blue ocean, that's the best part of being in some really unique space. If you're in the B2B, I make widgets for this specific component of a door handle. Okay, well, who buys parts for door handles? Your audience may only ever be 50 people, but the podcast gives you an opportunity to establish yourself as the authority on the topic. I'm not doing it for views. I'm not doing it for downloads. I have a very specific audience that I seek to serve, and I just focus on that.
That's
so
awesome.
For somebody that makes something like you just described, I don't even know what the heck that was, but for somebody that does that, there are people that buy those things. There are people that depend on those things working. There are people that will tune into your podcast about wafers for whatever the heck that was.
Yeah. The other kind of cool thing about it too is that you kind of become like a micro celebrity in your niche, in your industry. So without a doubt, next time we are all finally allowed to go to one of these big conferences, a digital out of home conference or the OAAA show or whatever like that, guaranteed, Tim's going to be walking around like with rock star status. People are like, oh shit, there's Tim. So just get ready for that, Tim.
I'm admittedly, I'm kind of looking forward to it because, I've been just doing this in my basement for the last 10 months. I haven't met a single guest in real life. The one that I was the first live episode was going to be on March 13th with Mr. Brian Rappaport.
That's my birthday.
Hey, well, look at that, right?
There you go.
But unfortunately, COVID was kind of this, we didn't know what it was yet. So we punted on it. And I'm still chomping at the bit to do that. But you're exactly right. Like, so I just released episode 34. We had 2 live specials, if you will. So let's say 36 episodes in. I get countless DMs, emails, phone calls, consulting requests. Hey, could you help me with this? Hey, can you take a look at my startup? Tim, what do you think about this? Again, I've only spent 2.5 months of the 10 months of doing the podcast actually selling billboards, but people come to me for the information because they know I'm plugged in, they know I'm connected, and I put myself on the record, so they're not afraid to ask me for my opinion because they know that I'll give it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's for our listening audience. That's exactly why we made the AdHero podcast. We saw this as a golden opportunity to invite awesome guests on the show, like Tim and other people that we've had in past episodes, and just create dialogue around marketing and advertising overall on a bigger scale. But obviously, the underlying thing that we're focused on is the out-of-home space and billboard advertising, which is what our product Open Display does. And this has opened countless doors for us doing this show as well. You want to dive into that one there, Gino?
Okay. Yes. Well, first of all, like, did you have any like early challenges when doing the podcast?
Oh, countless. Where would you like to start, and how much time do you have? I'll tell you a story, and it's just serendipitous because my son's here now. The first episode was with James Heller, who you may be familiar with, right? He's the CEO of Rapify, an Inc. 500 company. So here I am, total outsider to the industry. I say I'm going to start this podcast. I don't know a lick about starting a podcast. I don't know how to start a YouTube channel or how to distribute. I don't know anything. I don't know how to make a thumbnail. I don't know who's going to listen. I don't know any of this stuff. So I invite James Heller on. I just shoot him a message and say, hey, I'm a random stranger and I'm starting this podcast. Would you like to be a guest? And he said, yes. Nice. So now I had to step up, right? So now I had to deliver something. I don't know what the heck I'm going to deliver. I sent 3 different Zoom meeting links. My son was over because his mom had to run and do something. So I've got the added pressure of entertaining a 6-year-old at the time and keeping him busy and out of the way so I can do this. And then James sending me an email like, hey, man, I got 3 different Zoom meeting links. And, you know, the dog just pooped on the floor and my son's running down, Daddy. I'm like, oh, my gosh. If this is a sign of whether or not I should do this, it's probably that I shouldn't be doing this.
Wow.
Maybe I'm stubborn or maybe I'm dumb, but I just went ahead with it. And that was episode 1. From there, I made probably 6 or 7 episodes with no guests, just me freestyling, because at that point I had made it, right? It's like going to the gym and like posting that picture on Insta saying like, 90-day challenge, I'm going to get it. Well, if you don't keep up with that challenge, people are going to be like, whatever. Like, you know, just another person that said they were going to do something that didn't. Well, now I put myself on the record. Now I got to keep doing it.
Wow.
So I just kept chugging away, putting out episodes by myself, started to get a guest here and there. That helped me get more guests. That helped me get better, more qualified guests. Not that any guest was not of the caliber that the current guests are, but you had to kind of get some traction, right? Reach out to a buddy who builds websites to do an SEO about how do billboards and SEO work together. So little things like that, getting creative with folks outside of the industry that would be willing to do it to help me build credibility.
Wow. Well, that being said, and that kind of leads me to my next question. Can you share some examples of effective podcast strategies and insights for our listeners?
Yeah. So I think the most important piece of this strategy is really step 1, who's my audience? What do I want this podcast to do? Do I want to just help me build my brand? Right? Maybe I'm somebody like a Black Rifle Coffee Company. They've got a very, very refined, they know who they are. Their podcast, it ties into like kind of that adventure lifestyle, veteran, patriotic type stuff. They don't need to do the podcast to sell more coffee. They're doing the podcast to build the brand, the lifestyle around the brand. And for a lot of small businesses, it could just be that easy, just building the brand. But if you are a business development person, if you are in the B2B space and you want to do that, get specific about who your audience is. Once you're specific about who your audience is, then you can approach it from, okay, well, what type of content is going to be most valuable to them, right? So who do I want to talk to? What do I want to talk to them about? And you've decided what the vehicle is to talk to them with, which is a podcast. Those are probably the first 3 steps to getting started on podcasts. Who do you want to talk to? What do you want to talk to them about?
And it also sounds like too, don't get dejected at maybe some early, if the listenership isn't off the charts or you have some early bugs, you gotta be willing to stick to it and probably stick to a repeatable schedule too, I would assume, right? Like a show, we try to come out with an episode every single Friday. It helps people kind of just subconsciously remember, oh, there's a new AdHero episode dropping today, that type of thing, right? Would you agree with that?
For sure, absolutely. So I saw a statistic that 80% of podcasts don't make it past episode 10. So I tell people, anyone that's thinking about getting started, at least commit to making 11 episodes. Sit down, write out what my first 11 episodes are going to be. Who are those guests that I can get to be on the first 11 episodes? Make a commitment to 11, because I went back and looked at my first 10 episodes, and I think I had 3, 4, 7. I think I had 13 total downloads in my first 10 episodes. So the first 4 months I had, the 13 downloads on the podcast, and the YouTube was doing okay, but nothing to write home about. If I had known then even where to look at the analytics, I probably would have stopped, but I didn't know where to look that up. So I just kept going. Now, I think in the month of May, we had 173 unique downloads of the show. Average episodes get 20 plus hours of watch time with big, unique audiences. So that too, I think is commit to doing 11 episodes minimum, right? Because 80% don't make it past 10. And then also, when you understand your audience, you won't get caught up in the vanity metrics of views, right? Everybody hears about Joe Rogan's 2 million downloads and thinks, oh my gosh, if I don't get more than 1,000 views on my next episode, I'm a failure. I think my top episode has like 180 views. I don't even look at it. For me, what's important is I look at total view time and unique viewers, because what that tells me is, all right, Tim, you had 100 unique viewers and they watched for a total of 20 hours. That to me is like having a room with 100 people in it. And what's 20 times 60 is 1,200. It's like having a room with 100 people in it that will listen to me talk for 12 minutes straight. What would you pay to be in front of 100 perfect prospects where you can position yourself as the expert and authority on the thing that you do or sell for 12 minutes? What would you pay for that attention? I don't know. What is it that you sell?
Wow.
It could be
That's a great point.
How much
mic drop, man, right there.
Yeah.
That's
how I look at it.
That's a teaser clip we're making right there.
What's crazy,
that was good.
And what's crazy, you pretty much answered the next question, which was, what key advice can you give someone to join the world of podcasts? And I think that's like a great answer right there. Commit to 11 eps and see what happens from there.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'll give you the bonus nugget, which for me over probably the last 10 episodes has been the progression, is you will change a lot in your style in that pursuit of understanding and refining your voice. Right? Once you get to that, I don't know, it's probably different for everyone. Like for me, last week I did 8 episodes. I recorded 8 episodes last week so that I'd have all my content for July done. I'll be able to drop 2 episodes a week. And what I learned by doing 8 episodes in that compressed period of time was that I really refined my voice. I got so comfortable. I was having the conversation so frequently throughout the day. I was doing 2, 3 a day. And that really has helped me understand, all right, Tim, this is your voice in this podcast. I always viewed the podcast as kind of for the people, but I understand that I'm the steward of that experience, and that me understanding my voice and being able to inject that is going to bring out the best in my guest. So really keep a focus on that too. Is this true to me? It's not going to feel normal at first. I promise you that. And it may not for a while, but don't lose sight of finding your voice.
That's so awesome, man. I really hope all the listeners have gotten just a ton of good insights out of this show today. So, basically in summary, find your niche, find your voice, know who your audience is and what you want your podcast to accomplish and what you want to get out of the guests that you have on the show, and stay committed, and you can have a successful podcast to complement your business.
That's real nice.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Tim, so grateful for your presence here on the episode today, man. We love you. Thanks for being on. And I don't know, Gino, what do you think, man? Take us home?
Tim, why don't you tell us where they can find you, get more information?
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. So the best way to access any of the content is to visit the oohinsider.com, the oohinsider.com. That's going to give you a choice of whether or not you want to watch it on YouTube or listen to it. So however you enjoy your content, the oohinsider.com, or on all the social channels. If you follow us on Instagram, every episode gets loaded up to Instagram TV. We post all of our teaser and our micro content on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts. But the best way is the oohinsider.com.
Excellent. Well, we cannot thank you enough for, again, coming on the show today. This is going to be really great to put this out there. And Gino, you got any final talking points here just to wrap things up?
Yeah, you know what? Just to remember, we have our AdSemble. We are a billboard advertising company as well, but we want you to we encourage you to join our newsletter here at AdSemble. We also wanted you to know that about OpenDisplay.com. And how you can easily get on a digital billboard for just as low as what, $20 a day?
Yep, we have plenty. You can do any size budget you want. We also have our AdSemble Prime program where you get points every time you launch a campaign, and those points can earn you free campaigns down the road. You also get free ad design with that from our expert graphic designers. There's a lot of good stuff. It's all on AdSemble.com or OpenDisplay.com.
And don't forget about the swag pack.
And if you give us a shout out that you heard the episode today, you will have a swag pack coming in the mail, like the one I got from Tim from oohswag.com. Is that the URL for the OOH swag?
Yeah, for sure. If you're an out-of-home person and you love out-of-home as much as we do, check out oohswag.com. You can use promo code INSIDER for 10% off.
Boom.
Hats, T-shirts, hoodies, stickers, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you got your new hat. I saw it.
Yeah, I was oh hell yeah, I was rocking that hat. Maybe I should have done the sound effect there. I'm still getting used to this sound effect machine, man. I gotta get on this tip. But anyways,
where can they find you on social media?
At Matthew Olivieri.
And I'm GG AdHero and YouTube. Gino Giovanni Presents.
All right, Gino, take us home.
All right, this is the final, or this is the episode of the AdHero Podcast. It's not the final. But my name is Gino Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Olivieri.
Catch us here every Friday here on AdSemble.com and all major podcasts. Thank you, Tim, for coming on to the show. We'd love to have you back.
We're out.
Definitely.